Hello, Janet Burmeister here, and I'd like to talk about the IOM contract. Just to recap briefly, CFSAC recommended to convene a stakeholders meeting in consultation with CFSAC members, with ME/CFS experts, patients, and advocates to reach consensus on a case definition. Instead, what did we get? A study, quote unquote, by the Institute of Medicine that includes no patients or advocates nor CFSAC, and that will include a number of professionals without any prior experience with ME/CFS. Anybody brave enough to bet that true ME/CFS experts will not be in the minority? And when I say true experts, let me clarify that folks who spend millions of dollars on the study of the psychosocial aspects of the disease and on coping mechanisms really don't count, although they will undoubtedly be included in the IOM panel, as will likely other folks open to unscientific psychobabble. The IOM study is quite obviously not what CFSAC recommended. It's actually quite the opposite. In a letter by Secretary Sebelius to our experts, she claims that the IOM study was necessary because, quote, HHS does not generally develop diagnostic criteria for disease conditions, close quote. I mean, really? Correct me if I'm wrong, but have we not been suffering tremendously for almost 20 years under the Fukuda definition developed and adopted by the CDC? It's true that we've been wanting to get away from the oppressive Fukuda definition, so why this enormous outcry by patients and experts alike about the IOM study? Well, the answer is actually quite simple, because we have a perfectly good case definition with the 2003 Canadian consensus criteria, which have been adopted by the vast majority of ME experts. HHS has always said that a definition must originate within the medical community. Well, the CCC did. So, why waste taxpayer dollars on something that is readily available? That's the $1 million question, especially since the ME experts clearly stated that a definition from the IOM, quote, threatens to move ME/CFS science backward by engaging non-experts in the development of a case definition for a complex disease about which they are not knowledgeable, close quote. The experts decided that the CCC, reflecting about 400 years of clinical and teaching experience, hundreds of peer-reviewed publications, and about 50,000 diagnosed or treated ME patients, are more than good enough. Are the CCC perfect? No. But they are a very sophisticated starting point and a quantum leap improvement of Fukuda, and the experts have already committed to refining them over time. If we allow the IOM contract to proceed, we can expect a disastrous Gulf War illness type result. The IOM, in its most recent report about Gulf War illness, which it renamed chronic multi-symptom illness, recommended antidepressants, cognitive behavioral therapy, and exercise for vets with a serious physical disease. If the IOM is going to throw out disabled vets under the bus, what hope is there for patients like us who, for decades, have been labeled as lazies and crazies? If the IOM study goes forward, we will beg to be returned to Fukuda times. The IOM as an institution quite clearly seems to have a conflict of interest which taints the entire proposed study. The IOM has previously stated opinions relating to ME/CFS, the subject of the planned study. For example, the IOM already decided in its Gulf War illness report that there are no biomarkers for ME/CFS, a fact that is yet to be established in the IOM study. It also opined that ME/CFS is not an organic disease. There are many other examples in the report, and at the same time, the IOM stated in its report that the, quote, responsibility for the final content of the report rests entirely with the authoring committee and the institution, close quote, the IOM. This unconditional assumption of responsibility by the IOM creates an obvious bias that cannot be explained away or remedied by conflict of interest checks of potential committee members. The institutional conflict of interest of the IOM alone is reason enough to terminate the entire contract. I've been asked if I'm 100% sure that the IOM outcome will be bad. Well, no, I'm not, but I'm also not 100% sure that I'd be killed if I jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge. Everybody should ask themselves about the reason for the extreme secrecy in entering into the IOM contract. To this date, the contract has not been available to the public. The nomination process for the committee is completely non-transparent. 3 out of the 5 committee meetings are planned to be closed meetings. Even Secretary Sebelius' response to the experts' open letter wasn't open. The even bigger question is the extreme speed at which this study is forced down our throats. After all, in cases of other than national health crises, like a threat to the blood supply, this kind of urgency is highly unusual, if not completely unprecedented. Anybody who's watching, please know this. Patients and experts do not want this study. Thank you.